Hi, this is Brian Duncan, and I'd like to just say that I am not responsible for anything Wildman and Steve say on the air. Play my music though.
You are about to listen to the intersection of faith, talk, and music. The Wildman and Steve Show starts right now.
You know, Steve, I was thinking a lot about nostalgia today. Were you thinking about that at all? Or do you ever think about that?
Well, there's two things. One, I'm a Latin teacher, and two, I love 80s hair metal. So pretty much my life is nostalgia.
Yes, absolutely. And I said that because I knew that you and I would connect once again with the whole idea of 80s rock. And, something that I'll talk about in future episodes is that I just received in the mail today the Heaven's Metal magazine issue. And this is from 1987, and it has White Cross on the front. I used to have this, and I found somebody that sold it, was selling it, and I just had to buy it to bring back the nostalgia of that day. It's amazing when you hold in your hands what you were doing when you were in high school, isn't it?
So do you think if your mom will let you come out after school, could you bring that over and let me take a look at it?
Oh, well, she doesn't even know I have it yet, so don't tell her.
Man, that is way cool.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's something how part of us just never grows up. But ladies and gentlemen, today we want to bring on the show. We want to welcome on the show the band Messenger. Messenger has a great classic rock sound that brings us back to that same era that we were just talking about, that nostalgic era. So Messenger, how are you guys doing? Take a moment and introduce yourselves.
Great. We're all doing good. I'm Frank. I'm the singer and the bass player. I write the lyrics, and Vlad and I write the music.
I'm Vlad, the guitar player.
I'm Michael, the drummer and backing vocalist.
Well, it's great to have you guys. And
hold on just a second there, man. I only heard three names. so immediately I got to be honest, my mind starts going to ZZ Top. Okay, another famous three-piece there. Do any of you guys have ridiculously long beards?
No, we got some ridiculously long hair, but not long beards.
Yeah, I think more about Triumph or Rush myself.
But that is interesting. You mentioned that, Steve, because you look at a lot of bands that you see. The common band is the 4-piece or the 5-piece. So you guys being a 3-piece, I'll just start off with this question, just out of curiosity. Do you feel like you're missing anything being a 3-piece band?
I think we're doing great. We're instrumentalists, vocalists, and in a way, we can translate all this energy when we are on stage.
Gotcha. Right. So how did you guys start? Tell us how Messenger started in the first place.
I was in the whole 80s, no, not even the 80s, the 70s. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle, and then came to the Lord and wanted to. Long story short, okay, I wanted to use what I learned in that time period of playing in rock bands and writing music, heavy metal and even progressive music, and applying that to trying to do something to preach the gospel. I wanted to go back and pull me out of there. You know, there's a lot of me's out there, and I wanted to go back and pull me out of there, and you know, for the Lord, because I mean, once I met the Lord, man, what else is there?
Right.
Then I connected with musician after musician, and Vlad and I have been working together for 12 years, and then Mike joined us about 3 years ago.
So, Frank, when you first started to feel that, hey, I want to do something with this musical talent, musical experience that I've got, want to do it for the Lord, did you find support for that, whether in a church community or in the music world?
Short answer, no. I mean, I think I had a lot of encouragement for my spiritual growth, but when it came to, you know, music, it was like, oh, well, why don't you play this? And, oh, why don't you play like this character or that artist or this guy? Or why don't you join the choir? And, you know, it was never, wow, man, you can do this. That's cool. You know, let me help you. No. To this day.
Wow.
What about you guys, Mike and Vlad? Did you experience that same kind of pushback or resistance, or did you find support from anybody?
Yeah, this is Mike the drummer. As far as connecting to various places to play, no, there's pushback from both spectrums. There's the clubs that don't want to hear your message, and then there are the Christians in the church who say you shouldn't be doing that with that kind of music. Yeah, we don't want that here. And you shouldn't be listening to any hard music or heavy music, especially secular hard music. So they kind of put those two together and put you in a category.
A bad category.
But they should listen to the lyrics, I think.
Sure.
Right. So, Vlad, what do you think? You know, as a guitarist, now I just have to mention this. I am partial to guitarists. I am a guitarist, amateur guitarist, but just partial to what you think about as a guitarist and playing this style. You know, you personally, have you experienced pushback as well?
Not necessarily, because to me, it's like music is music, and good music is good music. And the approach that, or the way I was looking at everything is like, you know what, we just need to play the best we can. We need to write the best music we can, and everything would fall into like the right places. So to me, it was important to come up with good music, good lyrics, and just, you know, look forward and deliver.
Says she cares, says she hates. She spikes blue hair, her friendship grates. Told his woman, told his youth. She blames a lie on the truth. Cuts her arms and asks for help. She beats her face and leaves her whelp. Loves to Christ who could do more. She kills the
So, do you think that, have you noticed, Frank, that when you said to this day, that you've experienced that, where is Messenger getting their support from currently?
Internet. We get it out there, and people who love good music, you know, they hear it and they go, oh, wow, this is great. And, you know, you've got pioneers that have done it, you know, and so that kind of gives us an opening in the sense that, you know, like we were talking about before, we play the bars. We play the festivals. We play those places that, you know, the worship team isn't going to play. And so, you know, but that's our audience. Those are the people that want to hear that crunchy guitar, that want to hear those soaring vocals, that want to hear that big, big, strong beat and the loud crashing cymbals. My ears are starting to hurt just talking about it. But let me ask you guys a question, because I don't know how much time we have. Have you heard any of our music?
Absolutely. In fact, Wildman and I have been talking about it, and I want to make sure I've got this straight. So what I could find is you guys have had 2 full albums. You had I'm Talking to You and You Choose, and then Blindsided is the new one that's coming out. Do I have that correct?
yes, the only thing that the album that we are putting together right now is going to be called In to Win. And Blindsided is one of the songs from this album.
He's just one of the songs. Okay, gotcha. No, we've listened to it, and I got to say, and so we'll go ahead and make the first shameless plug right here for anybody who's listening to this podcast. Get on Spotify, get on iTunes, get over there and get these guys, get their music, man. Download the albums. In fact, go on iTunes, pay the money, okay? Don't just listen to stuff on YouTube. YouTube is great to get you a little taste. Get out there and buy the music. This stuff is classic. It's got the hard chugging guitars. It's got the great rhythm section, fantastic vocals. And if you care about such things, it's got the lyrics that are rooted in Scripture and that honor Jesus Christ. So if any part of that turns you on, get out there and buy these guys' stuff. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I would concur with that, Steve. You know, one of the things with my taste, I'm very specific with my taste from being in bands when I was in high school and college, and I like the classic rock metal sound. And when I say metal, I'm talking about the fist pumping type of metal. You know, the new metal of today, it's good. It's just not my favorite. I like the more melodic sound than what I'm hearing from a lot of them today. So you guys certainly fit the bill for that particular sound, that classic metal sound, and I think it's great.
So talk to us a little bit. In fact, Frank, you'd mentioned, secular music and kind of growing up around that and playing some bands and so forth. For all three of you guys, secular or Christian, what were some of the bands that really influenced you, really got you hooked into this kind of music?
Let's start with Mike.
Mike the drummer.
Mike the drummer.
Yeah. I would say John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. That's really where I get my style from. And Neil Peart from Rush. Those are the two big ones.
Cool.
Iron Maiden was a huge influence as well.
And he just found out that what's the guy's name? Nico
McBrain. That
he's a born again Christian. He just found out that he's
yes, he is.
Christian. So that was cool.
There's a long list, but those are the three that come to mind right off the bat.
And speaking of Christian drummers, Tommy Aldridge from Black Oak, Arkansas, and Whitesnake. He's a Christian.
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for sharing that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Vlad?
My influences are more like 60s, 70s. Like I started with Beatles, and then I was a huge fan of Queen, and for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I was listening to Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Pink Floyd. From 80s metal bands, probably one band that I've listened was Manowar.
Okay.
And actually, when I first heard Frank sing, that's exactly what reminded me of. Okay, I want to join this band because it reminds me of that energy, that I heard in the Manowar band.
Sweet.
Cool. As far as me, influences, Kiss was a big thing when I was a kid, and then Rush. I would sing all of their songs, all of Kiss's songs, and then Rush came around, and I was hanging out with guys that were a little bit more cranial than me, and so then they introduced me to more progressive music, and then of course I started singing Xanadu and Fly By Night and Hemispheres and all these albums. But so that's kind of where I'm coming from. But of course, I expanded my horizons to stop hating Led Zeppelin, and and now I think Robert Plant's probably one of the greatest. Him and Paul McCartney are like the two greatest rock singers of all time, and Freddie Mercury fits in there too, Vlad.
Well, and let's be honest, Robert Plant's voice, of all the guys from that era, honestly, I think Plant has probably aged about the best.
Oh, yeah.
His current stuff, which is very, very much not Led Zeppelin.
McCartney's still doing good. McCartney's still strong.
Absolutely. Yeah.
like right now for you guys? I mean, one of the things that we always do with this podcast is we always ask the question eventually, what can your fans and what can we do people do to support what you're doing? But before we get to that specifically, what is it like right now being in a band, playing this style, when it's not necessarily the mainstream of what's out there today?
Wow, that's a tough question. Let's try to wrap our heads around that. Let me ask you a question to qualify that.
Okay.
Whenever you're saying in comparison with the mainstream, are we talking about genre? Are we talking about style? Are we talking about in America hip hop and pop is the thing now, or are we trying to compare ourselves with, Europe is still hot with hard rock, heavy metal. I mean, Alter Bridge is huge over in Europe.
Right.
We're fans of them and that kind of thing. So, what can you kind of qualify the question a little bit better for me?
Sure. I guess I'm thinking more in terms of United States and what is popular out there, because one of the things Steve and I have learned when we talk to other artists, that there's many artists that are going overseas with their music because they're getting the support there. And so I listen to a band like you, and I see that where you guys are located, and I'm assuming that it's not what it's not something that is on the radio necessarily, or it's not what everybody's playing, and it's not what's popular amongst the high school kids today. I guess my main question is, what keeps you guys going even if you face a little adversity and it's not and you're not getting to the place where you want to be right now? I guess I'm making some assumptions with that, so I apologize, but take that for what it's worth.
Okay, Mike's got some thoughts.
Yeah, the bottom line is we always know God's in control. So over and over again, Frank is saying, yep, God's going to do it if he wants to do it. God's in control. He's got this, So prayerfully, we always put in God's hand, because he's going to open the door, close the door for us. Not that we're not working hard to get where we are, but we know ultimately God's going to open that door.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great answer. You couldn't ask for anything better when you're depending upon him. So what has that been like for you as far as doors opening right now? As you continue to progress as a band, what is there that you have the albums that are out? What are you looking forward to at this point?
I just think that we have enough support out there and interest that, we have this fire in our bellies. Vlad will have a riff and he'll say, hey, let's write a song. And I'm going, or I'll hear him play something. I say, I've got to make that a song. That's got to happen, kind of thing. So we believe that there's an audience out there, and then we get support from folks like you, and we go, hey, we know there's an audience out there. So let's keep going. This is, we've got to believe that, the ear candy that we put out is stuff people want to consume.
Another day, the shadows wake me, the sunlight.
Oh, and it's definitely ear candy. In fact, I could just binge on that kind of candy all night long. I want to take you guys back to some of the venues where you've played, and maybe kind of the heavy metal bar, the hard rock bar, that kind of thing, saloons and whatnot. I think that's a great venue, and I think that if Jesus were here and he weren't involved in, making all things new and bringing about the new creation, that's probably where he would be, because he would be going where people need him the most. What experiences have you guys had in those venues with actually sharing the faith, or maybe having some spiritual conversations with some of the patrons?
Well, we did this one gig at the Depot. Do you remember that gig, Vlad? At the Depot?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. We played Baltimore.
Yeah.
It was, what was the name? Faith Faith and Fear, I think was their name. They were pretty big in their day, and this promoter put this thing together, and we had quite the experience there at the Depot in Baltimore. Do you remember that one, where the guy dressed up like a nun?
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah, they were pretty dark.
Pretty dark. What do you remember about that night, Vlad?
It was absolutely different band in front of us. But the thing is, like, when we played, I thought we won them over just by like playing great and showing that we believed in our music, and I think we like really had a great performance there. Mm-hmm. And those guys were standing there, even though they were dark and more into absolutely different on the other side of the spectrum.
That's right.
They were definitely on the other side of the spectrum. They were mocking Jesus on stage. I'm not going to tell you what they were doing, but they were mocking Jesus outright. And then we come on with the opposite side of the spectrum, lifting Jesus up, telling people he's the only way through the lyrics, because if we start preaching that, we'd probably get kicked out. Right, but the lyrics speak for themselves. But yeah, they respected what we were doing.
Yeah, they were for the entire show there, and they came to at the end of the show and just said, "Great show, we loved it." So there was no mockery or anything like that.
Yeah, not afterwards. Now the drummer, who was he's a transvestite, he they did this whole skit of mockery of Jesus. And we were actually out in the parking lot getting ready to go on next. So we never even knew that was happening, even though we think that they did that on our behalf because they knew that a Christian metal band was going to play, right? Wow. And then we did a song with a drum solo. Let me cut to the chase. And the drummer came straight up to the front. He was mesmerized. This is the guy who was mocking Jesus. Suddenly now he's captivated by the art. And that's where we're coming from.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's really inspiring to hear that, because one of the things that personally that I like to hear are stories like that, because that takes me back to the stories that we, when Christian rock was first getting started. And when these bands were going into places like that weren't accepted, like we've been talking about, they weren't accepted in the church, so they went where they were accepted, and they were surrounded by the same negative pressure that you just explained, but yet at the same time, God used that as an opportunity. I'll never forget, it was Robert Sweet who said it back in the 80s, that God calls us to shine our light in a dark place, and rock and roll is definitely a dark place in many areas.
That's right.
And so I see that that's what you guys are doing, is shining your light. So if I could just ask this, I hear your passion, and I hear your desire to continue to do what you're doing in the midst of the darkness, which I think is inspiring and incredible. What is it that keeps you guys going in that way, without letting the influences surrounding you affect you or influence you?
I'd say we're pretty focused, guys. We try to stay focused. All three of us are family men, and from the beginning, with this band, I've always said, family first. Kid is sick, or you can't do this gig because you got somebody's birthday, or you're traveling with your family or something. Family is first, and there's no question about that with this band, because everybody loves their kids and their wives, and we do what we can to grow our families and focus on that. I mean, really, the music is secondary to that, and of course our relationship with the Lord. But I'm just saying that feeding our families and being there for our families in the home, and raising our kids and being there for our families has always been the focus for us as men. But and that gives us, the focus that we need to say, okay, now this time is going to be for music, and we're going to dedicate ourselves to that music. But again, I feel like the drive, and you guys can tell me, is that we do get positive feedback from people who want to hear our music. So we have to say, okay, somebody likes it, we're going to keep doing this. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. They're shaking their heads. You can't see.
After each show, we have people stop, come by and just say, like, we appreciate you, we appreciate, the music, or we appreciate the message.
Mm-hmm.
So there is always, we have people just.
That's right.
Well, you just said something that really caught my attention when you said as men. And I think for a lot of guys today, they really don't know what that means. They really don't know what it means to be a man, much less a man of God. And for you guys to say, hey, what it means to be a man is to be there for my family and to love them and to support them well. And I would say that you guys are pretty much the opposite of the classic Kiss song "Beth," right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, no, we do have our late nights. We do have our late nights. So, yeah. Where are you? I'm always gonna be there. Okay, honey, I'm on my way.
So tell us, what for like the rest of 2020, 2021, what do you guys really want to focus on? This next album that's coming out, touring, 50-50 of each?
The best, the Word of God says He is a light unto our path and a lamp unto our feet. And I take that to say that as much light as we have on the path is all we have. And if you're holding the lamp, you really can only see what's around your feet. And the best that we can do is what is really next to us and is close to us is what we have. We have been working really hard on this record. Let me tell you, Vlad has done an amazing job in the engineering and the producing. We have done our own studio work. It's our studio. It's us saying this is what we want to produce. We're going to figure this thing out. We're going to do this. We figured it out. We've studied with the masters. Vlad has taken many courses. We've watched a bunch of courses together and tutorials, and I'm talking the masters, the best of the best out there. And we're talking digital studio, Pro Tools, plugins, mixing, mastering, all of that. And the amount of time that's been put into doing that, and you've heard the product. That's a professional product, and I'm saying that as somebody who is a part of producing it. So I one of the other reasons we know is because we are paying attention to what the other producers are doing, and so we're going, okay, this matches up, this reaches that goal. And we're trying to, learn from that so that we can go further. The reason I'm saying all of that is it's taking a lot of time. and we are in the middle of mixing. We've mixed a bunch of the songs. I think we're on, of 13 songs, we're mixing like number 8, something like that, 8 or 9. And we want to be ready for a fall release. And we are trying to pitch to some different people, and we're trying to get involved with some some people that'll help us move the ball, as we say in football. So we're hoping to do that, and trying our best to move the ball, and trying to get down the field and try to get as far as we can. I mean, that's always been our goal, to expand the audience as big as we can with every tool that we can, social media and video and audio and everything we can. You guys found us on Twitter. How was it?
Right. Yep. Yeah, it was through Twitter, and then I reached out and just said, hey, we like what you guys do, and we connected because of the style, because of the same classic style that we appreciate.
Cool, man. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I know it's
it does. And I think that's great. It's certainly something that gives everybody a point to look forward to this fall with the new album. Again, the other two already out there, and you can also find. And we're going to do links and all that kind of stuff at the end, and where everybody can find you guys online. But just today, I updated our website to include you guys, both your band link and your YouTube channel on wildmanandsteve.com on our Wild Links page. So you guys are definitely there.
Let me just throw this in. One thing that I've always have had an appreciation for is for musicians, and the ones that do their best to bring top notch, which is what you just explained. And the common fan, the average person doesn't realize how much work that goes into a product like this. So let me just say right out of the box, even before this is released in the fall, I'd just like to give you a heartfelt thank you, because I'm aware, at least a little bit, I haven't done it completely, I've done some, I'm aware of the effort that it takes to put out what you guys are putting out. So thank you for the effort you're putting forth.
Hey, great. Thanks a lot. No, I credit Vlad. I mean, right now with COVID, I mean, we're doing it long distance. He'll come over. We'll get together, the three of us, for band practice. But he's hunkering himself down in his studio and basically doing the mixing, and then sending me a mix, and we'll make notes and go back and forth that way. But he's got his shoulder to the grindstone, as we say. He's not letting up. He's not going to let COVID stop him from finishing this record. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm using so many metaphors this evening. This is great. Shoulder to the grindstone, move the ball. Oh my gosh, light at the end of the tunnel.
Dates or things like that. I think local Virginia stuff coming up. And then touring would have to make sense. We'd have to look at the tour and see what would make sense for like a mini
Right, right. And anybody listening to this podcast, if you know any good booking agents, let us know. We want the biggest and best gigs we can get, guys.
Absolutely. We're always anybody that listens, we're always saying, hey, look, if you're a producer, if you're a record label, if you're a promoter, listen to the folks that we're talking to on Classic Christian Rock Podcast. These folks are bringing the goods. They're bringing the real music. It's stuff that people want to hear. It's not just nostalgia throwback to the 80s. It may have been influenced by the great bands of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but this is stuff for the 21st century.
Cool, man.
Yeah, and whatever we can do to help you. So one of the things to kind of close out the discussion here, we always like to give the artist or the band the opportunity to give a message of the one thing they would like the fans to know the most about them. And so I guess I would segue that from your name being Messenger. What is the message what is the bottom line message you are trying to get out there?
Well, we try to in the music, we try to relay faith as a part of our lives. So, the first record was a little churchy, okay, a little churchly, quite a bit of church language. Second one was kind of peeling away from that, but the faith element was, I think, bigger. And this one is even more artsy and more, of a generality of the concept of faith in Christ. But you can't hear one of our songs without knowing that that's who we are. And I feel like, we have a message. I like to say that we're a band with loud guitars and a great message, so that's why the name.
Is Hawk and Crows also from the new one?
Yes, it is. Yes,
it is from the new one. Okay, because that obviously is huge, and folks, that one you do want to go on YouTube for. You're still going to want to buy the song, but you want to go on YouTube and see the video for that one, which is great. Tell them about it, and it's perfect for the age in which we are in.
Yeah, it's actually a free download. If you go to SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Messenger Rock. It's a free download of that song, Crows and the Hawk. And that was a song that wasn't intended to be a single release, but we were always saying, if something like this has happened, like has happened with George Floyd,
yeah.
My gosh, God bless him, and the riots that broke out from there, we decided that we were going to make that. We felt actually pulled and called to throw together that lyric video in order to get that out and get that message out. that he made us to embrace. He made us to enjoy each other.
Well, there's two parts of the song. I mean, the chorus is obviously so powerful, but also the metaphor of the behavior of the hawk and crows, and
right.
then seeing that transfer into people. That's a powerful metaphor. And again, folks, go check that video out, get that song with the free download. But it's a powerful metaphor, and to think about being alone and then suddenly being, attacked, right? There's others around you that they're coming to get you because you feel alone. And that's not how we were meant to be. So, yeah, it's a wonderful song. Love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means a lot. It really does. Thank you for commenting that way. But there's more to come. Sunday, July the 5th, we have another song coming out. It is a planned release, so it will be available on Spotify and iTunes, Apple Music, whatever, Amazon.
What's the name of the song coming out on July 5th?
July 5.
That's the politician song, right? Yeah, you got a little teaser. You got a little teaser for it on YouTube.
Tell me the truth if you can. Is this a word or deed? Tell me the truth if you can. Is this the change I need? You might be lying to somebody, but it's not to me. I think you lie to yourself now, but you just don't see.
Well, we're so glad you guys took the time to be with us today. Is there anything else you would like to say to your fans or any of your supporters that you haven't already said right now?
We appreciate our fans, and we appreciate opportunity to be on this podcast.
Mike's got something burning over here, don't you, Mike?
No.
Messenger is a great band with that great classic metal sound. I appreciate their focus on being the light in a dark world. This is what all of us are called to do, share the light in the midst of the darkness that is around us. As they did, I ask you to answer God's call and ask Him where you could do the same. Where could God use you? Where is His light not shining? Thank you for listening to this episode. For more information about us and to leave us a review, please go to wildmanandsteve.com.